Smallies. It's another toad.
Yeah, no back at leeches.
God. What's going on?
Go to the side.
No, I got it. We're fine. Wait. It's gonna fight. It's not tired out yet. There's fight left in it. Hold on, I'll bring it to you. Watch out. Still taking line, dude. I gotta let it fight. I got 6 pound test on here. It's a toad.
Yep, going back to leeches.
I spotted that on there. I was like, yeah, this is gonna scare everything.
Bring it up.
God, it's a monster. Get it. Another hog.
Oh, the line just broke off too.
All right. Not a lot of walleye in this lake, but the smallies are a blast. Welcome back, Hook the Hunters. It has been a while since I posted a fishing video. I do apologize for that. I have not been out on the Mississippi much recently. I've actually just got back from a trip up in Minnesota where we fished a clear water lake, probably about the middle of Minnesota or so. It was a location, Big Birch Lake. I went up there on a family vacation and had a hell of a time. Fishing was very slow. Was not able to get on a good walleye bite, but did get on a decent smallmouth bite once I figured that out. And I wanted to show you guys the exact setup that we were landing some very nice, large football size smallies. So I'm gonna go through pole setup and location, and hopefully this will help you guys out. So stay tuned. So the first setup was on a medium light action pole. So this particular pole isn't anything like super fancy, expensive, or special, but it has a very light tip, light action. This pole specifically is a rhino pole. Like I said, it's not name brand or anything, but it gets the job done. And got a 300 Mitchell reel on it. But more importantly, I had to go very finesse. We could not get fish to bite on a heavier setup. The bite was very tough. So we went and hooked up a 6 pound mono line, kept it very thin, and put a size 3 or 4 hook on the end of it. Now normally I would want to use an octopus hook size 4, but I'm not gonna lie, I actually ran out while I was up there. I got snapped off a few times. That is one thing. I'm fishing on a trophy northern lake with some very large fish, and I actually hooked into some northern, and my 6 pound test setup didn't stand a chance. I like to go heavier if I can, but we were not catching walleye, and we weren't catching smallies either with the heavier setup. So I got 6 pound line, and you're gonna want to tie that up. When it's hanging there in the water column, that hook is hanging straight up and down. And then you're gonna run it back. I got it ran back about 2 feet to about an ounce bullet weight. Got to run back about 2 feet from the hook. There's the hook to about an ounce bullet weight. I got an ounce bullet weight, and then I got a split shot behind it. Now it isn't a very fancy setup. It isn't that clean. You can use your teardrop weight or different things on the end. I actually saw Tom Boley set his rig up this way, and I liked it, so I went with the same setup. The reason why I liked it is because you can see I got a tag string line at the end here. I can just come in here and I can slide that split shot down if I want that hook to sit farther up off the bottom. So if I think those fish are a little farther up, or I want them to chase a little bit more, I can set that so there's more of a gap, 3 foot gap or so between my hook and the weight in the bottom. So as far as bait on this rod and setup, Jumbo leeches was the ticket. Basically, I take the jumbo leech and hook the sucker right through the end of the hook, and it created a very natural presentation where it'd swim in the water. So if you are going to use night crawlers, which I did catch a few with night crawlers, you're going to want to thread that night crawler in, use the whole night crawler, and try to push the head of that night crawler right over the back end of that hook. And this way you don't have the hook really exposed at all, and it looks real natural. So, and that is the goal. So that is the drop shot rig right there. All right, the next rig setup we're gonna get into is basically bobber fishing, but it's a little bit different style. It's power corking is what I would call it. And we were also successful with that. We were able to get that bait down in front of the fish and leave it there for a while and basically just tease that fish until finally it wants to bite. So the whole goal was to have setups that's just gonna leave that bait just sitting in front of them until they bite. And of course we're using live bait. And that's really what you gotta go to. You gotta go to the basics when the bite gets really tough. So for the power corking setup, I have a Placino fishing reel and rod. It's very fast action, light tip. You need a longer rod for power corking because when you're fishing in deeper depths, you're gonna have a lot of slack line out there, and you want to be able to get all that line out there with a big sweeping hook set. You go to set the hook. But as you can see, I got a pretty large bobber on here. If you look at that, the size of my hand. And then right below that bobber, I have about a 1.5 to 2 ounce weight. It's probably more around a 1.5 ounce. But a pretty large sinker. And then I got a snap swivel. And then I am running a leader. The leaders that we were fishing with that we switched to were 6-pound mono as well. And we had that size 4 octopus hook. You can see this is not an octopus hook that I have on here right now. I will attach a picture of an octopus hook and link it below so you guys know what it is. But this is what I had. Like I said, I went through all my octopus hooks. I got more coming in the mail from Amazon. But that is the hook I had on there. So 6-pound mono line for the leader. The only reason why you don't need a 1.5 ounce, 2 ounce weight below your bobber. Like, that's more than enough, a little bit extreme. The only reason why I did that is because I got a bigger bobber that's extremely buoyant and I wanted more weight on it, and I'm able to get away with more weight. I wanted more weight on it to basically make that bobber sink easier, so when a fish does bite, they don't feel the bobber and they won't drop the bait. So if you're wondering why I got this big chunk of lead on there, it's to take some of the buoyancy out of this huge bobber. But I will tell you, it also allows this line to get down extremely quick. So when I'm fishing setups like this, I am actually driving around, looking at my 2D down imaging, and I'm also looking at my side imaging, but I'm mainly using the 2D down imaging. And I'm going along the edges of a weed bed and trying to hit points and so forth. And the moment I spot fish on my down imaging, I'm trying to spot lock the boat right on top of those fish, and I'm dropping either the slip bobber or the drop shot rig right down on top of those fish. So this isn't something, hey, I go find a spot that I like on the edge of a weed bed and I wait for the fish to come to me. I am going to the fish, I'm locking the boat right there on top of those fish, and I'm dropping that bait right on their head, and I'm just dangling in front of them until they decide to bite it. And a lot of the fish honestly weren't biting. You know, I saw fish nonstop. Finding the fish was not the problem. It was getting them to bite. But you know, you hit one group of fish, if they're not biting, you move right on, you go to the next group of fish and you drop right on them. When we first started up there, like I said, we were trying spinner baits, we were trying running crankbaits, covering a lot of ground. We were trying a lot of different methods, and this was the only method that worked. In reality, it was like the last couple days that we're up there where we really got it dialed in and was able to just consistently move and just drop right on top of different sets of fish, one after another. And if they weren't biting, I didn't sit there and wait for them. I reeled it right back up, moved a little bit, dropped it right back down on a different group of fish. So that was the most productive way that we were catching smallies out there. You can do the same exact thing for a walleye bite, but I couldn't get any walleyes to bite. It was tough. But the smallmouth bite was happening once we figured it out. So let's go in and I'll show you exactly what we were looking at on the Humminbird maps and where we were fishing. So where we were fishing on Big Birch Lake, this is one of the shallow points that runs out, or one of the fingers that run out for decent ways. Everything on this lake, basically from 17, actually probably maybe about 20 feet, had weeds all the way up. And then once you got into like the 15 feet area, those weeds were thick, coming all the way up to about 5 feet from the surface. The areas we were fishing anywhere from probably about 17 feet to 25 feet is where we were finding them, smallmouth. And basically we'd run over these points and drop right on top of their heads the moment we seen them on 2D imaging, and would go from there. So some of these offshore points, as you can see on here, right in that area, right in this area, and then the other spots that we had success at was, you can see out in the middle here, this is probably one of the better spots. And we've hit a few walleye in here as well, but the walleye bite, like I said, was pretty slow. And you can even see some of my history in my tracks that I had here. But at this point right here coming off, you can see that you got your bigger basin over on this side, you got some deeper water over on this side. So any of your little edges and points all the way through this side going into your bigger, deeper basin, and then this finger coming out right here, right around 17 to 25 feet, just trolling back and forth through this area, and just spot locking right on top of those fish and dropping that slip bobber rig, the power corking rig, and that split shot rig right on top of those fish, and just leaving that bait sit in front of them. So that's how we're getting it done. Hopefully that helps. All right, well, hopefully this video helped you guys out. If you guys are fishing any Clearwater lakes midsummer with high weed lines, hopefully this helps give you advantage, especially if that bite is extremely finicky. If you like this content, please help us out. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button, and become part of that Hook to Hunt tribe. So catch you on the next video. We should be bringing you some Mississippi big river fishing here real soon. Stay tuned. Hook to Hunt.